Okay, so here's a little project introduction and update on the Shit Wagon. I've got the so what happened was I bought a car, perfectly running and good driving car. I had a little bugs to fix, put a distributor in it, tuned on the carburetor, got it running, driving good, and immediately was bored with it. Bought it to do an LS turbo swap, listed the engine and transmission on Craigslist for $2,000, and it sold in like 3 days. So I bought this front end. This is the CPP Mustang 2 style. The bigger disc brakes, it won't clear 14-inch wheels, so I got to buy new wheels. Power, rack and pinion steering. It's the CPP motor mounts that are made for the LS. They're adjustable by like 2.5 inches forward or backward or something. That stuff seems to work pretty good. I wasn't impressed with the welding on this front end, so I re-welded some stuff. But it's going to work. It looks fine. So I spent the money off from the engine and transmission on this front end. I had this 4.8 sitting here. It came out of a truck I parted out that I ended up putting in an S10, swapped into an S10, drove it for 20 or 30,000 miles, and then swapped in a cammed 5.3. So this one's got, it's got 220,000 miles on it or something. I used a cam out of a newer LQ9, so I think it's the 1521 cam, a little bit more lift and duration than this 2000 4.8 motor had. It does have this is the Gen 3, so it has the wimpy rods in it. So it's gonna just stay low boost for now. Probably no boost to start out, and then I got to do injectors and stuff, and I haven't figured out. I may do decapped. I got 3 sets of truck injectors I may send off and see if I can't get them cleaned and flowed and get a good set to use, or I may end up just buying the 80s and being done with that. We'll see. It's going to be on an 0411 PCM, probably 91 octane. Intercooler, air-to-air intercooler in the front, truck manifold, hot side. Kind of been working closer to that. I had to modify the shifter linkage so that it'll clear, but it clears fine now, so I'll have to figure out the bottom mount. Column saver kit's not quite done yet, but it's kind of figured out. I'm gonna have to get my steering shaft and the column mount figured out. Here's the undersized turbo drain I welded in there. That's a 1/2 inch. I should have went with a 5/8. I used a 5/8 I used a 1/2 on the last car that I did the turbo on. Didn't have any trouble. Same turbo. It drains basically straight from here down, so I'm hoping it'll be okay. If not, man, I'll fix it. I'm not worried about that right now. F-body pan, that's a new one. Actually, that's the Dorman replacement for an F-body, which is a solid piece. It was really nice. That's the oil level plug off of eBay for like 10 bucks. What else here? Oh, I got a Hydro Boost out of an Astrovan hanging here. Went and got that last weekend. So that's going to be going on. This thing just had manual drums, and it's going to have Hydro Boost disc when it's all said and done. Here's the rear end. This is a Ford 8.8 out of an Explorer. Disc brakes, I want to say it was like a 2000 model, something like that. 31 spline axles, 373 gears with limited slip. This axle on this side is 3 inches longer than that one, so I'm going to pull the axles. I'm going to cut 3 inches out, do a sloppy weld back together right here, and then I sourced another short side axle from Rock Auto for 120 bucks with the bearing and seal and lug nuts and studs there. So I'm hoping to get that finished up maybe tonight. We'll have to cut and move the perches. I haven't decided if I'm going to try to save these or if I'm going to build some or buy some. I got to figure out the final ride height on this thing. I'm changing tire sizes. I sold the old rear end out of this thing already. It was a 8.2 10 bolt with 308 gears, and they tend to break with the power I plan to put down later. So I just sold it. It's going to be a 2-inch hot side primary, basically, to two 2-inch pipes to the turbo. I used that on a bigger motor, and it was just fine for the power level I was after. I mean, a lot of guys wanted 2 1/8 or 2 1/4, 2 1/2. This street car, I mean, I just want it to spool quick. So, and it'll be easier to route through, these type of holes here and stuff. So 2-inch it is. A couple V-bands. Turbo is right over here. This is a Chinese 7665, which is not the greatest turbo. It works. I think I've seen people on the internet, if you can believe any of that, I've seen guys make 700 tire on one of these. With this Gen 3 motor, I'd be happy to get 500 tire. And then I've got 2 Gen 4 rod 5.3s, and I've got 2 6-liter, one LQ9, one LQ4 Gen 4s. So I may end up upgrading this to like a 76 75 or 78 75 or something if a need arises, but I think this is going to be enough power for what I'm wanting to do. Truck intake, stuck the little EGR plug in it. I didn't do that on the last one. I just made one, but it was cheap. Inlet air temperature sensor is going to go right up here where this thing's coming out. I had this set up here on a 400 Mopar, so I'd already bought the precision wastegate. I think it's a... All right, sorry about the train. This is the PW46 precision wastegate. I chose it, and this has been a few years back when I had it on the other motor, mainly because it comes with a pretty cool spring set that you can basically adjust from like 2.5 pounds of boost all the way up to like 27.5 pounds of boost in 2.5 pound increments. So you can really dial in what you want the boost to be and then work from there with your boost controller or something if you want to. I don't know if I'm going to run a boost controller, or if I'm just going to set it on kill and then try to use timing to take power out for for traction purposes or whatever. I don't know what I'm going to do. Eventually I would like for this car to have MS3 gold box with the 4L80E controller, and figure out a tire speed traction control on it, because I want it to be sort of safe when I'm trying to beat on it. It's not going to have a big tire on it. I'm not going to mini tub it. I want to keep the back seat. So I'm going to be on like a 235, 240, probably 245 drag radial, which I know guys can go fast on. I mean, they're getting 1.4, 1.5, 60 foots on, so it'll be plenty fast for what I want to do. But it'll be down the road. It's going to be slow for a while. I'll show you what I had to do inside here to clear the 4L80E. I stuck this in here with the motor where it was supposed to be, and literally about 2 inches lower than what it's at right now, it was already hitting the floor, basically in the area that I cut it out, from basically, just gonna get the light rearranged here. It was basically hitting the floor right here, all the way back to, right in this range. And then the yoke that's on here now, which isn't right, but at full turn, there's a lower spot right here. It was really close. So I just went ahead and cut all that out. I've got new 18 gauge metal. I'm gonna bend my own little tunnel to stick in there. But yeah, for the guys that are wondering what it takes to put a 4L80E in one of these, be prepared to cut a hole out. I think this one's still going to come up a little higher. I haven't finalized that because I still have I don't have a rear end under it. I did build a transmission mount, but it's just tacked together for right now, so I can, once I get the rear end in, I can finalize the height of the transmission. You can see it's just tack welded right there. But right now, I mean, the angle of the crank center line angle is about 6 degrees down in the back, which is a little bit more than I'd like. I'd like to get it up around 4.5. But I also got to make sure that'll play well with the rear end. This right here is kind of interesting. These are roll bar connectors, basically, to make sections of roll bar tubing, like on side-by-sides or whatever, removable. And so I just put one of these on each side where it'll hold the weight. Basically, the bolt just keeps it from sliding off. There's one on top too. It will actually slide out of there, even though it looks pretty tight. So that's that. That should work pretty good. Here's my El Cheapo subframe connectors, which is basically the same tubing material. Pipe is not even bent, runs in a straight line back to our spring mount. I think that's going to work just fine. We'll see. Well, I can't really think of anything else to show you right now in the car. I'm going to get to work and I'll update later. Thanks for watching.